You are 28 years old. You are lying in bed at midnight and you are doing math in your head. Not investment math. Not savings math. The other kind. The kind where you add up what you owe and subtract what you have, and the answer is a number that makes your chest tight. You have been doing this math for 2 years. It never gets better at midnight. You put the phone down. You pick it up again. You open your banking app. The balance is $214. It will be lower tomorrow because the gym membership you forgot to cancel charges on the 3rd. And tomorrow is the 3rd. The gym you have not been to in 4 months. The $14.99 you are about to lose to a building you have not entered since October. You stare at $214 and you feel something that is not panic and is not embarrassment. It is quieter than both of those. It is the specific exhaustion of someone who has been managing very little for a very long time. You are 28. You thought 28 would feel different from this. Not wealthy. Not sordid. Just further along than this. You close the app. You put the phone face down on the mattress. You lie in the dark and you think about your friend Marcus. Marcus is 28. Marcus has $11,000 in a brokerage account. You do not know this because Marcus told you. You know this because Marcus showed you his phone once at a bar and you saw the number before he turned the screen away. $11,000. You thought about that number for 3 days. Not because you were jealous. Because you did not understand how someone your age, making the same kind of salary, was operating in a different financial reality. You still do not fully understand it. But tonight, lying here at midnight with $214 and a gym you do not go to, you decide you are going to. This video is about what happens when you make that decision at 28. Not at 22 when everyone says the compound interest starts. Not at 25 when you still had room to be careless. At 28. With nothing. Right now. Every stage. Every year. Every number. And the one thing nobody tells you about starting late that changes everything once you know it. Stage 1. The audit. You are still 28. The month you decide to look at what is actually there. You do not start with investing. You start with a piece of paper and a pen and 2 columns. What comes in? What goes out? You have done this before. You lasted 11 days the last time before the spreadsheet got too honest and you closed the tab. This time you do not use a spreadsheet. You use paper because paper cannot be closed. You sit at your kitchen table on a Saturday morning. No phone. No music. Just the paper and the 2 columns and the truth. What comes in? $2,840 a month after tax. That is your number. $2,840. You write it at the top of the left column. Then you start writing what goes out. Rent, $1,050. Groceries, $320. Phone, $45. Transport, $140. Subscriptions you can name, $47. Then you stop. Because there are subscriptions you cannot name. You open the banking app and you scroll through 3 months of transactions. You find a charge for $12.99 you do not recognize. You find a charge for $8.99 for a meditation app you downloaded during a bad week in March. You find a charge for $22 that takes you 7 minutes to identify as a cloud storage plan you set up for a laptop you no longer own. You find the gym. $14.99. 4 months of $14.99 for a building you have not entered since October. That is $59.96 you paid to not go to the gym. You cancel it in the app. You feel something strange when you do. Not relief exactly. More like the specific discomfort of someone who has just seen clearly how they have been treating money, and money has been noticing. You finish the audit. 2 columns. $2,840 in. $2,247 out, and that is only what you could identify. You have $593 left every month that is not going anywhere specific. It is not saving. It is not investing. It is dissolving. Into takeaway on Thursdays. Into rounds you did not need to buy. Into small things that individually mean nothing and collectively mean you arrive at the end of every month slightly more behind than you planned. $593. That is your number. Not the number you have. The number that has been evaporating every single month while you were looking at $214 at midnight wondering why nothing was adding up. The first rule of starting at 28 with nothing is this. The money is already there. It is just moving in the wrong direction. Stage 2. The first account. Month 3. You open something you have never had before. You do not start with $593. You start with $200. Because $593 feels like the entire surplus, and if you touch the entire surplus you will feel deprived by day 8 and you will buy something to compensate and the whole thing will collapse. You know this about yourself now. You are not bad with money. You are human with money. And humans with money need to feel the improvement without feeling the restriction. So you open a separate savings account. Not your current bank. A different one. One where the money is not sitting next to your debit card balance where you can see it and reach it and move it back when something comes up. A separate account. You name it. Not savings. You name it freedom. You transfer $200 to freedom on the first of the month. Before anything else. Before the takeaway Thursday. Before the round you did not need to buy. The moment the salary hits, $200 goes to freedom. First, automatically. Without asking you whether you feel like it. The first month the account has $200 in it. The second month it has $400. The third month it has $600. You check it on a Sunday morning with your coffee. $600. More money sitting still and untouched than you have had in the last 3 years. You feel something you do not have a word for. It is not excitement. It is steadier than excitement. It is the feeling of someone who has stopped going backwards. For the first time in a long time you are not going backwards. $600 does not change your life. But $600 proves something that midnight math at 28 could never prove. That you can hold on to money. That you are capable of the thing you thought was only possible for people like Marcus. The second rule of starting at 28 with nothing is this. The first account is not about the money. It is about the proof. Proof that you can. Once you have that proof, everything after it is easier. Stage 3. The fear before the first investment. Month 7. You have $1,200 saved. You are about to do something that terrifies you. You have $1,200 in the account called freedom. 7 months of $200. Plus an extra $400 from the month your freelance invoice cleared and you redirected it before you could spend it. $1,200. And now you have been reading. Not self-help. Finance. The boring kind. Index funds. Expense ratios. Compound interest. The rule of 72. You have read enough to know what you want to do with $500 of the $1,200. You want to put it in a brokerage account. You want to buy a broad market index fund. You have read that this is what the serious money says to do. You have also read enough horror stories to be terrified. Not of the investment failing. Of yourself. Of doing something wrong. Of reading the wrong article and buying the wrong thing and losing the $500 that represents 7 months of discipline you have never managed before in your adult life. You sit at your laptop on a Tuesday evening. The brokerage account is open in one tab. The fund you researched is open in another. $500. The number sits in the transfer box. You stare at it for 11 minutes. You know 11 minutes because you check the time when you open the tab and you check it again before you press confirm. 11 minutes to move $500 from your savings account into the first investment of your life. When you press confirm, your hand is not shaking. But something in your chest moves. Not fear. Not excitement. The specific feeling of someone who has crossed a line they cannot uncross. You are now an investor. Not a significant investor. Not a life-changing investor. $500 in a broad index fund at 28 years old with a laptop balanced on a kitchen table that wobbles on the left side. But an investor. The market does what markets do that week. It goes down 1.3%. Your $500 is worth $493.50. You feel sick for approximately 4 hours. Then you remember what you read. The market has never ended a 30-year period lower than where it started. Never. Not once. You are 28. You have 30 years. You leave the app closed for 6 days. When you open it again, the $493.50 is $511. You did not do anything. You did not touch it. It moved by itself. This is the third rule of starting at 28 with nothing. The thing that does the work is not you. It is time. You are 28. Time is the one asset you have more of than anyone who starts at 38 or 48. Time does not care that you started late. Time only cares that you started. Stage 4. The year of invisible progress. Age 29. Nothing looks different from the outside. Everything is different underneath. You are 29. Your apartment is the same apartment. Your job is the same job. Your friends do not know you have been investing for a year. Not because you are secretive, because the conversation has never come up in a way that felt natural. And because there is nothing to show yet. Your investment account has $1,847 in it. Your savings account has $940. Total, $2,787. This is the number you carry quietly through every social situation of your 29th year. $2,787. At a dinner where someone announces they are buying a new car. At a birthday where the bar tab splits 8 ways and the number per person is $65 and you pay it without the old stomach tightening because you have $2,787 sitting somewhere doing something. At a work event where a colleague mentions their mortgage as casually as they mention the weather. $2,787 is not a mortgage. But $2,787 is $2,787 more than you had 14 months ago when you were lying in bed at midnight with $214 and a gym you did not go to. The invisible year is the year most people quit. Not because something goes wrong. Because nothing goes visibly right. The numbers are growing. But they are growing slowly. And slowly is not a feeling. Slowly is invisible. And invisible is hard to believe in when everything around you is performing visible wealth. The colleague's new car. The friend's holiday photos. The engagement ring on the Instagram story of someone you went to school with. All of it visible. All of it announced. Your $2,787 says nothing to anyone. It just sits there, growing by itself. The fourth rule of starting at 28 with nothing is this. The year when nothing is visible is the year that does the most work. Because you are building the habit that will run without your attention for the next 2 decades. You are teaching yourself that money can move without you spending it. That is worth more than the $2,787. That is worth more than the car. It is worth more than the holiday. You do not know this yet. You will. Stage 5. The raise. Age 30. Something changes at work. The question is what you do with it. You are 30. Your manager calls you into a meeting on a Wednesday afternoon. You get a raise. $340 more per month. After tax. $340. You sit in your car in the car park after the meeting and you think about what $340 per month means. New version of you. $340 goes straight to the investment account before your lifestyle expands around it. Old version of you. $340 becomes the new normal and disappears inside a slightly more expensive version of the same life. You have seen what the old version does. You have been watching it happen to people around you for 2 years. They get a raise. They move to a slightly nicer flat. They get a slightly newer car. They arrive at the end of every month at the same tight place they were at before the raise. Not because they are careless. Because lifestyle grows to fill income. Boys. Unless you stop it at the source. You sit in the car park for 3 minutes. Then you open the app. You change the automatic transfer to $540. $200 was the original amount. $340 is the raise. $540 is what goes to freedom before anything else from this point forward. You do not tell anyone about the raise. Not because you are ashamed. Because the last 2 years have taught you something that is hard to say without sounding strange. The less you talk about money, the more of it you keep. Not because talking makes it disappear. Because talking invites questions. And questions invite explanations. And explanations invite opinions. And opinions from people who are operating on zero savings about what you should do with your surplus are not useful to you. You drive home. You make dinner. You check the investment account before you sleep. $4,220. Plus the savings account at $1,100. Plus the savings account at $1,100. Total, $5,320. You close the app. You sleep without doing any midnight math. The fifth rule of starting at 28 with nothing is this. Every time your income increases, your investments increase first. Not your lifestyle. Your investments. Your lifestyle gets the remainder. This is the rule that separates the people who feel like they are building from the people who feel like they are always catching up. Stage 6. The compounding begins. Age 31. For the first time, the money makes money you did not earn. You are 31. You check your investment account on a Sunday morning. Not with dread. Not with the tight chest of midnight math. Just with coffee. The way you check the weather. The account has $7,840 in it. You did not transfer $7,840. You transferred $540 a month for 31 months plus the lump sum from the $500 original investment. That is approximately $17,000 of your own money transferred into the account over time. But the account has $7,840. That number does not add up in the direction you expect. Because the market has moved. Because dividends have been reinvested automatically. Because $7,840 is not the money you put in. It is the money you put in plus the money made. You did not earn the difference. You did not work for it. You did not trade hours for it. It arrived because you owned something and the thing you owned went up in value while you were sleeping, eating, working, and not thinking about it. This is not a large amount. $7,840 is not a life-changing number. But it is the first time in your life you have been paid for something other than your time. You sit with that for a moment. You think about the version of you at 28 lying in bed at midnight with $214 and a gym membership charging for a building you had not entered since October. That version of you was trading every waking hour for money that evaporated before the month ended. This version of you, $7,840 on a Sunday morning with coffee, is beginning to understand the other way. Not working for money. Owning things that work instead. It is still small. But small is how it starts. Boys. The sixth rule of starting at 28 with nothing is this. The day the interest becomes visible is the day the whole thing changes in your head. Not in your bank account. In your head. Because now you are not doing this on faith. You are doing it on evidence. And evidence is a different kind of fuel. Stage 7. The setback. Age 32. The market drops. Your account loses value. The test arrives. You are 32. The market drops 18% over 6 weeks. Your account, which had $11,200 in it, now has $9,184. You have lost $2,016 on paper. Not money you withdrew. Not money you spent. Money that existed in the account last Tuesday and does not exist there today. $2,016. You check the account every day for 2 weeks. This is a mistake, but you make it anyway. Every day you check. Every day the number is slightly different. Sometimes higher. Sometimes lower. Never high enough. Your colleague tells you he sold everything when it started dropping. Locked in the losses. Got out before it got worse, he says. You nod. You do not sell. Not because you are certain. Because you read something 2 years ago when you were first learning and it stuck. The investors who panic and sell during downturns are the ones who turn paper losses into real ones. The investors who do nothing watch the market recover because it always has. Every single time. You do nothing. You keep transferring $540 on the first of every month. In a falling market, $540 buys more units of the fund than it did when the market was higher. You are buying more for the same money. This is called dollar cost averaging. It sounds like a strategy. It is actually just staying calm. The market recovers over the next 7 months. Your account climbs back past $11,200. Then past $12,000. Then past $13,500. Your colleague who sold everything buys back in at a higher price than he sold at. He lost money twice. Once on the way down. Once on the way back up. You lost nothing. You gained more units. The seventh rule of starting at 28 with nothing is this. The setback is the test. Not of your financial knowledge. Of your patience. Every investor faces a version of this. The ones who pass the test do not do anything special during the drop. They do the most difficult thing in investing. Nothing. Stage 8. The number that changes the feeling. Age 34. Something crosses a line. The relationship with money is not the same. You are 34. You check the investment account on a Tuesday morning before work. The number is $28,400. You read it twice. Not because you do not believe it, because you want to feel it properly. $28,400. 6 years ago you had $214 and a gym membership you were about to get charged for. Now you have $28,400 sitting in an account you barely touch, growing in a direction you did not design and do not control, quietly and without needing your attention. You get on the train to work. You stand in the carriage holding the rail. Around you people are standing the same way you are standing. Same carriage. Same morning. Same destination probably. But you are carrying a number they cannot see. $28,400. And what that number gives you is not wealth. Not yet. What it gives you is something harder to name. It is the feeling of someone who could absorb a bad month without it becoming a crisis. The car that breaks down. The medical bill that arrives. The job that ends without warning. Any of those things would have destroyed the version of you at 28 who had $214 at midnight. None of them would destroy the version of you at 34 who has $28,400 growing quietly in the background. You do not feel rich on the train. You feel stable. And stable, for someone who has spent their entire adult life one bad month away from a crisis, feels like the most luxurious thing in the world. The eighth rule of starting at 28 with nothing is this. The first goal is not wealth. The first goal is the buffer. The psychological distance between where you are and where things start going wrong. Once you have that distance, everything changes. Not the numbers. The feeling. Stage 9. The life on the other side. Age 38. 10 years after the midnight math. This is what it actually looks like. You are 38. You wake up on a Saturday morning. Not because an alarm told you to. Because you are done sleeping. You make coffee. You sit at the window. Your phone buzzes. Not a notification. A dividend payment. $312 deposited overnight. Not from your job. Not from a side hustle. From owning. You do not move immediately. You sit with the coffee and the $312 and the Saturday morning and you let it settle. Your investment account has $74,000 in it. Your savings account has $8,400. Your total net worth is somewhere around $82,000. Not $1 million. Not the number that makes the headlines. But $82,000 built from $200 a month starting at 28 with nothing. $82,000 that was not given to you. Not inherited. Not won. Built. From the audit at the kitchen table. From the $500 that terrified you on the Tuesday evening with the wobbly laptop. From the raise you redirected before your lifestyle could absorb it. From the market drop you survived by doing nothing for 7 months. From 10 years of $540 transferred automatically on the first of every month before you could talk yourself out of it. You think about Marcus. Marcus who showed you the $11,000 on his phone at the bar 10 years ago. You do not know what Marcus has now. You stopped thinking about Marcus a long time ago. Not out of indifference. Because you stopped needing the comparison. The comparison was only necessary when you were behind. When you felt behind. You do not feel behind anymore. You do not feel ahead of anyone. You just feel like yourself. A version of yourself that 28-year-old you at midnight with $214 would not have believed was possible. Not because of the $82,000. Because of what the $82,000 is not doing to your mornings. It is not waking you at midnight. It is not tightening your chest on the train. It is not making you check the app with dread. It is just sitting there. Growing. Without asking anything of you in return. This is what it looks like 10 years after you start at 28 with nothing. Not a yacht. Not a mansion. A Saturday morning with coffee. A phone buzzing with $312 you did not work for. The specific quiet of a life where money is no longer the loudest thing in the room. Somewhere right now, someone is 28 years old. They are lying in bed at midnight doing the math in their head. The math does not work. It hasn't worked for a while. They are staring at a number on their phone that makes their chest tight. Maybe it is $214. Maybe it is less. Maybe it is zero. They are wondering if it is too late. They are thinking about the people who started at 22. They are calculating the gap. The gap feels enormous at midnight. It always does. But here is what the gap actually is. 6 years. 6 years of compound interest. Not nothing. But not everything either. Because what the 22-year-old who started early has is a head start. And what the 28-year-old who starts now has is urgency. Urgency is not worse than a head start. Sometimes it is better. Because the person who starts at 28 having felt the weight of having nothing is not casual about the decision. They are not starting because it seems like a good idea. They are starting because midnight math has become unbearable. And that, the decision made in the unbearable quiet of a midnight that finally became too loud, is the only reason any of this ever works for anyone. It is not the amount. It is not the timing. It is the decision. The version of you that started at 28 with nothing does not need a perfect plan. They need the first move. Just the first move. Open the account. Name it something that means something to you. Transfer the smallest amount that feels real. Not comfortable. And then do it again next month. Before you can spend it. Before you can talk yourself out of it. Before the gym membership charges and the round you did not need and the Thursday takeaway absorb it back into the nothing. Everything after that first move is math. And the math, once you start it, does not stop working. Not at 28. Not at 38. Not ever. Subscribe. Every video on this channel shows you what each level of this actually looks like from the inside. The next one might be the one that starts something.